within the Western secularism, you can tolerate. Tolerance means you're no good, but I'll put up with you. You're going to hell, but you know what, I'll put up with you. Our term is mutual respect. Mutual respect for difference is a very different concept than tolerance. I was invited to a major university in California starting a world religions center, and they wanted a member of each religion to come, and they wanted to declare peace and harmony and have dialogues. This was in the 1990s. So they put me on the board of advisors as the Hindu, and when they were launching this event, this place, all the dean came and vice chancellor and provost, all these guys were there. So they were all giving speeches, and they had drafted a resolution that all these religions that are represented hereby pledge to have tolerance towards each other. So when it was my turn, I said, I proposed, I was the only guy who actually disagreed. They all agreed and they all clapped. I said that I would like to request one change, remove the word tolerance and put in the word mutual respect. I said the difference is, if I respect you are legitimate. If I merely tolerate you, I feel you are no good, you are evil, you are going to hell, but I'll put up with you. And I want mutual respect. Now this created a big stir. After this, I had to leave for personal reasons. I came back home. I got a call from this lady who was head of this whole organization. She called me and she said, Rajiv, you really created a big commotion. I said, what did I do? He said, you asked for this mutual respect. And now they're all debating whether we can do it or not. So I went and told this to Swami Dayananda Saraswati, Arshividya Gurukulam. Many of you probably know him. He said, that's a good idea. We should want mutual respect. So then, year 2000 was the United Nations declared a Millennium Summit. Some of you might remember. All the leaders of all the world religions were invited by the United Nations. Baba Jain was head of that group, and under Kofi Annan they were going to declare world peace, and all the religions will have harmony and whatnot. And this millennium will be the millennium of peace. That's what's going to happen. So there was a resolution which had been drafted, and in the resolution it said that we all declare tolerance. So Swami Dayananda Saraswati, since everybody had to approve, he crossed out and put mutual respect. And then the Vatican guy, when he would get it, he would cross it out and put tolerance. And this went on. And New York Times reported that there is a serious risk, there's a deadlock of language, some technical language, people are quibbling, they didn't give details. And therefore there's a real risk that the summit may collapse without a resolution, and it will be a big embarrassment for United Nations. So this went on, and they kept putting pressure on Swamiji. Swamiji dug his heels and said, no, I want mutual respect. Tolerance is not good enough. So at the 11th hour, the Vatican blinked and they passed the resolution with mutual respect. And everybody thought, wow, which is very great. But the stories didn't end there. About a month later, after everybody's gone back to their home, the Vatican issues a clarification, official. And the head of the Vatican delegation was Cardinal Ratzinger, who later became Pope Benedict, the current Pope. So it's not a small fry. He was a big shot even then. He was head of Vatican's external affairs, anything to do with the outside world, interfaith and whatever. He was the head of that. And then he later became Pope, and they changed his name to Pope Benedict. He was called Cardinal Ratzinger. He's the one. So he's the one who ultimately signed, and he's the one who then issued a clarification a month later. Clarification was that there are certain aspects of all religions we can respect, but ultimate salvation can only be done through the church. Which means, going back to the Nicene Creed, the Christian good news of the Savior is the only way to save. Others can take you from kindergarten to 5th grade to 10th grade, high school, but if you really want to go to the highest level, the PhD level, the ultimate level of being saved, you have to come through us. So they had to sign, but then they had to clarify what they mean by respect and to qualified respect. And then came 9/11 in 2001. And after 9/11, the Muslims in US were suddenly very shaken up because there were a lot of attacks on them. Suddenly there was this Hindu-Muslim bye-bye going on. Muslims very interested there, we all one and all that. Suddenly. So I was invited by some people in Dallas to speak on all this religious stuff and all, harmony. And a radio station which was owned by a Pakistani, South Asian radio station, they interviewed me, and then they had callers calling with questions. So I explained mutual respect. I believe in mutual respect, not tolerance. So this lady calls. Later I was told she's a well-known activist, Pakistani activist, big community leader in Dallas. At the time I didn't know who she is. So she calls and says, Rajiv ji, congratulations, welcome to Dallas. On behalf of all the Muslim community, I want to thank you for your great statement about mutual respect, and I tell you, we Muslims really believe in mutual respect also. Okay? Very good. So you see, this is where most Hindus would not take it further. You have to push it further. So I said, I'm very glad that you respect me, and I'll explain what all my faith entails that you are respecting. And I mentioned all the things that they are banned from doing. So I said, I'm very glad that you respect me. So let me explain that my faith, I do worship images. We believe in karma and reincarnation, and not eternal paradise or hell after one birth. And the divine can be also worshipped as feminine. So she hung up. You see, I had to call her bluff. So this is the point that even among the Abrahamic religions, why couldn't you have a unified house of worship? You can't. There is a philosophical reason why the validity of X, the legitimacy of X, requires falsifying Y. You have to falsify Y, otherwise you're not legitimate. This is not an easy, it's not that they're bad guys. This is a requirement by edict. Requirement. You must understand it very detailed. So pluralism and multiculturalism within Western universalism is a facade.